If you dropped a single M1A2 Abrams tank onto a medieval battlefield against 10,000 fully armored knights, who wins? Let's start with the obvious scenario. Knights have never seen anything like it. A metal beast that spits fire, sounds like thunder, and strikes from miles away. The tank crew opens with a 120mm heat round. Boom, 30 knights gone in one shot. Then they follow up with the mounted machine gun. Hundreds of rounds per minute, mowing down the front lines like grass. Horses panic. Chaos spreads. Nobody knows where it's coming from. This is what modern armies call shock and awe. Overwhelming, paralyzing force delivered fast enough to break the enemy's will before they even start fighting. In this version, the knights never stood a chance. The tank wins without even taking a scratch. But let's be honest, that's the boring version. Let's say they don't break. They think it's a beast from the underworld, and they charge it. Now we've got a real fight. So let's break it down. The M1A2 Abrams is a monster. 60 tons of composite armor, a 1,500 horsepower engine, and a main cannon that can hit targets over 4 kilometers away. It also has thermal vision, GPS targeting, and enough fuel to keep moving for hours. It runs with a 4-person crew, a commander, gunner, loader, and driver. On the other side, we've got 10,000 knights, heavy plate armor, lances, swords, crossbows. They ride war horses trained to crash through enemy lines. In their world, they are the elite, the top warriors with the strongest armor and weapons. But here's the catch. Medieval weapons can't do anything to a modern tank. Swords just slide off, arrows break as soon as they hit. And even if they climbed on top, they'd be pounding on the armor like kids hitting a refrigerator with a stick. So, this should be easy, right? Not quite. Tanks don't run on magic. They run on fuel, ammo, and air. And they've got humans inside, people who can get tired, confused, or overwhelmed. And that's where it gets interesting. The tank carries just 40 main cannon shells and around 10,000 machine gun rounds. Sounds plenty until you remember 10,000 knights. No resupply, no backup. Once the ammo runs low, every shot starts to matter. And mobility? Not unlimited. The tank moves fast in open space, but not forever. Sooner or later, it has to stop, cool down, refuel, reset. And if there's one thing the knights know, it's how to wait. They've fought siege battles that lasted weeks. They know how to wear an enemy down. So now the question is, can the tank finish this fast enough before it gets surrounded? Because terrain changes everything. The tank's biggest advantage is distance. It's built for open fields where it can spot enemies early and fire before they get close. On flat ground with no cover, it turns into a steel sniper nest. But medieval battles weren't always fought in open fields. They happened in forests, hills, and valleys. A tank's nightmare. Trees block movement. Mud slows them down. Steep slopes can trap the treads. Worst of all, visibility drops. Thermal vision doesn't help much when you're surrounded by trees and knights hiding in every direction. Now, imagine the knights split up. No straight line charges. They come from all directions. Some on foot, some on horseback, some hiding behind trees and rocks. The tank gets surrounded. It's not damaged, but the crew inside is overwhelmed, constantly scanning for threats, struggling to keep up. Stress builds. Mistakes follow. And here's the twist. The knights start sending waves of riders just to distract the gunner and waste ammo. Every shot fired at one of them is one less for the real attack. It's not about winning the fight. It's about draining the tank. Knights are playing smart. So, what does the tank crew do? They adapt. It's time to change tactics. First move, shoot and scoot. Fire around, then immediately relocate. It keeps the knights guessing and helps avoid getting surrounded. By the time orders reach the front, the tank's already gone. Then comes hull down positioning. The crew finds dips in the terrain, low ground, where only the turret is exposed. From there, they can hit riders while most of the tank stays hidden. The knights charge, but they can't even see where the shots are coming from. If things get too crowded, the Abrams can use reverse retreat fire, backing up while spraying bullets with the coaxial gun. The closer the knights get, the more accurate and painful the response becomes. And at night, thermals on, engine off. The tank turns into a silent ghost with glowing eyes. The knights see nothing. Then flash, fire, thunder, and it's gone. The battlefield feels like a haunted forest. But even that can't last forever, because both sides have a common enemy, time. Every time the crew reloads, it takes about 6 seconds. That's fast until your target is charging on horseback at 30 miles per hour. The coaxial machine gun runs on 200-round belts. Swapping in a new belt takes about 5 to 10 seconds. And after extended firing, the barrel can overheat and needs to be swapped out too. Another few seconds lost. Now, fuel. The Abrams holds 500 gallons of jet fuel and burns through about 60 gallons an hour under mixed movement. That gives the crew about 8 hours of life before they run dry. No gas stations in the 1300s either. Once it's out, it's done. But here's the twist. The knights aren't invincible either. They need food. A lot of it. Each knight eats around 2.5 kilograms of food per day. And their horses? About 10 kilograms each. That means the full medieval army needs over 125,000 kilograms of food per day just to keep standing. That's more than 270,000 pounds. And unlike the tank crew, they can't just stash meals in a compartment. They need wagons, servants, livestock, and clean water. If the battle drags on, knights could start dropping from exhaustion and starvation alone. Also, horses aren't tanks. They need around 6 hours of rest a day. So do the knights. And when horses get tired, they don't charge. They stumble, break formation, and panic. Tick, tick, tick. And just when you think it's a straight countdown, chaos kicks in. First, mechanical failure. The Abrams is tough, but not unbreakable. Enough mud, branches, or debris in the wrong spot, and the track could break. Now, the tank's stuck. A steel turret on a pedestal. Still dangerous, but not mobile. And in this fight, movement is everything. Second, weather. Rain turns fields into mud. Tanks sink. Visibility drops. Fire control systems can glitch. Meanwhile, knights are used to fighting in all weather. Rain to them is just Tuesday. Third, fire. Knights know how to use torches, oil, and smoke. They could roll in burning carts or siege weapons. Not to destroy the tank, but to block its view and force it to reposition. And here's a wild card, a distraction swarm. Knights release running livestock, cows, pigs, wild horses. Not to attack, but to use as moving cover. The tank's thermal sights light up with fast-moving heat. Last variable, the human one. The crew's been fighting for hours. They're outnumbered, under pressure, sweating inside 70 tons of steel. One wrong call, one missed shot, one reload too slow, and it could be over. So, who wins? If the fight is quick, open terrain, and no mistakes, the tank dominates. 10,000 knights can't get close before the ammo runs out. But if the field gets rough, if fuel runs low, if a tread breaks or one mistake slips in, then the numbers start to matter. So, what's the real answer? The tank probably wins the battle, but it might not survive the war. However, there's one more hypothetical scenario. Let's say the knights lose, badly. They charge and watch their friends disappear in fire and smoke. They've never seen anything like it. A giant, loud monster. In their world, there is no word for tank. So, what do they call it? A beast, a miracle, or a god. They start praying to it, painting it, following it. And the crew? Well, they're not tank operators anymore. They're prophets now. What would happen if a single Navy SEAL team fought 1,000 samurai? Watch the video you now see on the screen. Thanks for watching.